How many of these do you sell, like, on just an average on a year? Just to get a number here.
About 3,000.
Holy! And just to correct me if I'm wrong, you said you made gross last year $225,000.
Our first real risk was when we went to brick and mortar. That was right before COVID hit. Typically, year 5 to 7 is where you start to make a small profit, and then from years 7 to 10 is where you can like comfortably make a profit.
Oh, you ever hear OnlyFans?
You're all in. So like, it's my life. That's what I talk about.
Your spouse should be encouraging you to work on yourself and your hobbies and business. Did you see anybody on that show that was like, I can do this and I can do it better?
I think Squatty Potty was a big impactful one. Put names on them. I almost made you one, but I ran out of time
That would've
yesterday.
been
I was
awesome.
gonna make you a 1WARRIOR one,
that
and
would have been
I
awesome.
ran out of time
That would have been
yesterday.
fantastic.
I mean, honestly, I would tell anybody to just take the risk, whether it's gonna work out or not, because you don't know. I mean, I know I have friends that have crazy businesses that just don't want to buy shoes from me, and I don't know why. I can't be out here selling no protein because I don't know anything about it, but I'm sure you could sell it, but I couldn't.
Not a huge fan of protein powder, actually. I'm the old-fashioned guy that likes steak. Buy this treadmill. I never do cardio myself, but me being a single 31-year-old man, if I see an attractive girl selling a car, I'm going to be like, I'm going to have her sell me that car. Chances are I'm going to buy that car, too, just because sex
Just because
sells.
she's selling it to you, yeah. And he was selling, like, I think feet pictures, and he actually did relatively okay.
What is happening, guys? Welcome to another episode of One Warrior. Today I have with me a different type of guest, one that I'm usually not professional with. I mean, I'm the fitness guy. I mean, most people that know this. I'm here today with Andie White. Is that right, Andie White? Okay. Talk a little bit about why I have you on today, because the listeners are probably going to be used to having somebody about a business orientation. I mean, this is not going to be a fitness podcast. This is going to be a business podcast day. You guys are going to be learning about small businesses, starting small businesses, and what you can achieve with small businesses. So here I have Andie White. I like to start out with an elevator introduction on this podcast. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Everybody I have on here, nobody knows what an elevator introduction is. That's one of the first things we learned in college.
Yeah.
It's when you go into an elevator, you meet somebody new, and you have only a brief, 20, 30 seconds to get to know somebody quick.
Okay.
It's called an elevator introduction. So I meet you in an elevator. Andie, tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm Andie. I've started my business about 5 years ago, and it's been doing really well. It was all online at first, and now we have a brick and mortar store.
What's the name of the business?
Eclectic Wallflower Boutique. It's in Defiance,
Okay,
2 doors down from Kistner's on 5th Street.
Okay, so it's an actual retail place.
Yep, it's a retail store.
Wow, and you started off online.
Yep.
Okay. Explain a little bit what you do, what your businesses do.
So right now we are a clothing store. On one side we have kids clothes, women's clothes, and then we have purses, accessories, crystals. We make tumblers, we make custom shirts for people. And then on the other side of my storefront, I have a vendor market, which is a bunch of independent like artisans and sellers, and they pay me to set up in my store, and I sell for them and advertise for them. And
wow. Pretty busy, probably.
Yeah, pretty busy.
It sounds like it. Now, that's one of your products right there?
Yep.
So do you have like an OEM production company that you go through, or do you just...
Nope, I make these with my own 2 hands. I have I have a sublimation printer. It's like a powder coating printer, and it prints on paper. We put it in a heat press at 400 degrees for a minute, and it prints that out.
Wow. How many of these do you sell, like, on just an average on a year, just to get a number here?
Probably about 3,000.
Holy 3,000.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. And just to say too, like, we don't live in a huge area, you know. I mean, you live in Defiance, I live about a half hour later over at Archbold. This is an area where I would say, to get the stigmatism that people think, oh, they have a lot of money, just to correct me if I'm wrong, you said you made gross last year $225,000. Wow. That's really good for around this area.
Yep.
Very good. When you first started out, how long have you been in business?
I've had my brick and mortar store now. This is our 4th year with our brick and mortar. We bought our building in 2019, I believe. But we were renting it prior to that.
Okay.
So 2018, 2019, we've had a brick and mortar. And then we bought our building, and now we own it. And then we have a renter upstairs. And then just like he was saying, Defiance is very small. There's only 16,000 people in Defiance.
Right. It's all these towns around here are very small. So you said, okay, you were there 2018, brick and mortar. When did you start online?
2017.
And do you remember just what you grossed on average your first year doing this online?
Like $500.
$500. I say that because I want people to know that you're not an overnight success.
Yeah, no.
You've been grinding your ass off since 2017.
Yeah, pretty much. It started with a pair of leggings that I bought that I was going to resell. I bought them to resell. And then we went to we did pickers in Napoleon. We did every flea market, craft shows, vendor shows. I was hustling. We were out and about doing that. And then we found somebody that rented us a tiny little 300 square foot storefront that's now a tattoo studio. That we started in there. We moved in there. We outgrew that in 6 months. And then we moved into the building that we're into now.
Wow.
It had an opening, and that storefront was 1,000 square foot when we moved into it. So it was a tremendous jump. And then
that's a huge risk at that point too.
Yeah. And we outgrew that in about a year, but we stayed on that side. And then the other half that was bigger came open. So we moved to that half while the other half sit empty. And then we just bought the building.
Wow. Okay. Explain how the journey is from going from online to an in-person, because I feel like there's a big risk with that.
Yes. There's a huge risk.
Because especially you probably knew where your customers were coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you have customers in other states?
Mm-hmm.
You do?
Yep.
And so you built up that before launching an actual building.
Yep.
So talk a little bit about, the risks that you had to go through with deciding about when you decided to bring this to an actual brick and mortar store, to take the risk because of the fact that maybe your clients weren't around this area, possibly.
Our first real risk was when we went to brick and mortar. That was right before COVID hit. So our first
oh my gosh, that's insane.
So our first real year getting into it, that 2020 thing, we weren't open for 7 months because we weren't allowed to be.
Oh my gosh.
So we were doing curbside delivery, we were doing online shipping, we had to adapt. But I was still working full time at that point. I had a job. I worked at a factory. I was working full time. I didn't go.
So you were moonlighting at this time, and you weren't even full dumped in, and you were still trying to survive COVID.
Yeah, and my mom was doing most of that full time because she's my business partner. So she was doing the business stuff, and I was still working. And then my son was born in 2019, so I was really, really busy. And then we, COVID hit, and we didn't think we were gonna make it out of it, but somehow we did.
Wow. What was the biggest risk during COVID?
Just not not sure if we were going to be open. Nobody was spending money.
And how did you cover the expenses? Because you said that how big was that square foot when you said for COVID? How big of a building did you have when you were going through COVID?
So we were on the larger side. So that was about 1,400 square foot. So we were on the bigger side. Yeah.
So how did you cover the expenses to that?
We floated some rent there for a little bit.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
That's a scary thing though too when you're managing that. And how many employees do you manage?
Just me and my mom.
Wow, still to this day.
Yep.
Just you guys.
Just us.
Why are you not hiring out?
We're going to at the end of this year.
Okay. Because I was going to say, you're scaled at a point now where
we have to.
Yeah, definitely.
No, by the end of this year, we're going to have to hire somebody. We have lots of people that come and help us because we have a bunch of huge festivals and a bunch of events that go on in Defiance. So we have people that come and help us that we pay to come work for a day or two. And
so you pay seasonal type of things. Okay, I see. Briefly discuss, I want to talk a little bit about the excitement of being an entrepreneur. Briefly talk about the excitement in starting a small business, why you did it a little bit.
It's very exciting. It's very scary. It's flexible. I have more flexibility now. I can be home with my kids more. I'm not set to a schedule every day, but I'm always working. That's the thing is my phone's always going off. I'm always working. And then when I'm home, I still sell online. I sell on all the big platforms, and it's very risky, but it's very rewarding. It's not easy. I think we just now got to the point this year where we're actually going to profit money. Like all of our profits, we turn right back around and put back into the business.
Right. Like you should
so
do.
We're
That's
in year,
right.
So we're in year 5, and typically year 5 to 7 is where you start to make a small profit. And then from years 7 to 10 is where you can like comfortably make a profit. So you generally, the first 5 years of starting a business, you're not going to make money.
Right. That's an important thing, because I think a lot of people think they see, on Instagram and a lot of things, they see these people living flexible lives in their first, couple years that they start their business, and they're wondering, they want to know how to get to that point. And people got to realize it's a grind, especially that first, 3 to 5 years to even become profitable.
Right.
Because go ahead.
I would say like the last 2 years I've been living off of $400 a week. Yeah, it's been, because I don't want to take money away from the business and recycle that money back out. So we cycle almost everything we can right back into the business.
Talk a little bit about when did you jump ship from your full-time job?
I jumped ship. I left Johns Manville, which was a really good job if you know anything about that in this area. I left there May of 2021. I quit.
So after COVID?
Yep, after COVID.
Wow. So that's interesting, because you fought during COVID to keep your business open. Mm-hmm. You were also working full time. Did you get any time off during COVID? They lay people off at your business?
Not when I worked
there.
Because
I lost my job during COVID.
I did not. They did mandatory layoffs, but since I was still only technically a temp for my first year, I didn't get laid off, and I didn't want to.
Huh, okay. You still had the option to, but
yeah, I didn't.
And you didn't take it.
Yeah,
you just decided to grind through it, and be like, I'm going to work my ass off, keep the business going, keep the money flowing in too. Because, like she said, that is actually a very good company, Johns Manville. You were making good money on the side to even start this. Now, when you were working full time, and how did you know to, because I'm guessing you invested in your own business from your work. That's what I've done for all my businesses, my full-time job. I've talked about this before. I pay myself as an outsource from what I make. So basically what I make, I pay myself to live on money, and the rest goes into my businesses and investments and all that kind of stuff. Right. Explain a little bit about that for you, how you're...
So I started with about $100. Like I said, I bought leggings, took them to a flea market. I think I had scarves too. Took them to a flea market at Pickers in Napoleon here and did that. And then when I went through all that inventory, I turned around and took my profits and bought more, and then more and more. Because I was just doing it as a hobby at that point. I had no idea if it was going to work, if it was going to grow. And then my mom was selling jewelry. So we decided to pair up, and then we rented the store. So yeah, but I funneled most of my stuff in the beginning right back in. It was a hobby for me. It wasn't a business. I had no idea going into it that I was going to own a 3,000 or 30,000 square foot building and have 50 plus vendors that rely on me. And
50 plus vendors.
Yes.
Wow. Are there any vendors that people realize, recognize when you say them?
So I have M&N Kettle Corn, which is down here in Ridgeville.
Okay.
I have a honey vendor. I have Scentwick Candles. He's big in Toledo. I have a bunch of earring people. I have a little old man that makes toys.
Wow. I
have 3 children and entrepreneurs. They're the one is 14 or no 4. One is 14, one is 11, one is 8, and one's 7.
Okay.
So I have kid entrepreneurs. I have adults that I take care of.
How did you even get to know these vendors?
So I posted on Facebook. I just posted, I was hey, I have this idea. I don't know if it's going to work. I posted in a bunch of current events pages and stuff, and just put feelers out there. And I have a wait list that's 3 pages long now, because my vendors, I've retained 80% of them since we started in 2021, and they have not left.
I mean, I've did a little bit of research on this, and what I know, most people, when they get vendors, they, 30 to 50% is an average. You said 80%.
Yep.
That's insane.
I think because we counted it up yesterday, and I think 80% of my ones that I have in there are original or started within the first month that I opened it.
Wow. Okay. So social media, you use social media for your company. Now, do you think that was a big contributor to your success in the very beginning?
Now that we're using it, yes. When it was, I didn't use it in the beginning.
You didn't?
Nope.
How did you go about marketing?
Just Facebook, groups, just funneling, word of mouth, basically bootstrapping, just talking to people and converting them over. bringing people to the group, and then when they would tell more people about it. And then we did a lot of like hard advertising, like newspapers, radios, that kind of stuff. I've just recently started taking the plunge and doing like Instagram, TikTok, all of that.
And do you pay for ads, I'm guessing, too?
Not yet, but I'm going to.
So you've already built all this without even paying for ads, because that's very fascinating. Because I know like people that when they first start in their first 2 years, start dumping money into Facebook advertising and think, oh, this is the way to do it. This is because I know from experience for me in my past, a couple of small businesses that I left and stopped doing, I did the same thing. I dumped a lot of money into ads, a lot of money, and it turned over very low people. I mean, it was poor, very poor. What made you not want to go that path?
I am cheap, and I didn't want to spend money on ads until like I saw the return on investment. So yeah, but like I said, like I sell on Amazon, I sell Etsy, eBay, Mercari, Poshmark. I have an Instagram store, a Facebook store that's different from Marketplace. So like I focused on all of those, and then I would send out business cards, and I would bring those people to me. And now I have two independent websites that I run off of, that I funnel people to, because I'm trying to get off of all of those platforms and go fully onto my own. So now that like my websites are doing good, I'll start advertising for those to like bring people there. But we basically just had a Facebook page and a Facebook group, and we just invited all of our friends, and then they invited people, and then they invited people. And it's just been, we have 3,000 plus members in our group now. So
I from the little bit of research I did on you, Andie, I noticed you have a TikTok too.
Yep.
How much do you generate usually from TikTok, from people coming in, or any leads, any matter?
It's pretty small.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, TikTok's kind of hit or miss. I've done stuff on TikTok where I've had stuff, get thousands of views, and other stuff just flops.
I've had a couple really good videos I think you've probably seen, and then I've had a couple that get like 200 views.
And what do you use? So the social media that you do use, how do you use social media for your business? I
use my personal Instagram. I have quite a few followers on my personal Instagram, so I'll post stuff for the store from time to time, and then I try to do like daily posts on our Facebook page, our Instagram page. It gets to be a lot when it's just you. I'm
sure. Are you afraid to? This is a common concern for people. How do you know to draw the line from business and home? Because you just said you have your social media pages. A lot is linked directly to you. How do you separate that? Like for me, I try to keep business on business and business and pleasure separate.
Right.
How do you go about that? Draw the line there.
I really think for entrepreneurs, there's not a line to be drawn. I think like once you're an entrepreneur, you're all in. So like it's my life. That's what I talk about. It's basically one of my children. So wow. I talk about it as much as I can. Like the more like I'm on the street, like, hey, have you heard about my business? Here's my business card. Like I bartend, so every time I get like a new person that comes in, I'm like, here's my business card. Like, you need some clothes, like you got kids. So like I'm out there hustling all the time.
It's always a thing.
Yeah, it's always like mind. I don't shut off my entrepreneur brain at all.
What does your husband think about that?
He's used to it.
He's used to it.
Yeah.
How'd you guys meet?
I used to work for him. We used to work in Fort Wayne at a company there.
So he's been through you with this whole journey?
Mm-hmm. Yep, he's been there from the beginning pretty much.
When did you guys start seeing each other?
2019. 2019.
So you guys started in 2017. So you met him while you were doing it. And so 2019, he was there before COVID too. Yep. So was able to, does he help with the business at all?
Not really, no. He's pretty hands off from it.
Really? Wow. Okay. Is that just a personal, he just doesn't want to? Or
yeah, he just...
Or you choose not to have him?
Yeah, I just choose not to, no.
You're just like, stay out of this. I don't need you.
He comes and like does repair work if our tenant needs something, or if we need something fixed, he'll come do that kind of stuff, but...
Because sometimes I brought that up because a lot of times spouses can keep you motivated in a path. They can either keep you motivated or drive you away. I've dated people that have literally driven me away from my passions and hobbies, which I had to get rid of that. But it's important though to realize that your spouse should be encouraging you to work on yourself and your hobbies and business, and not be driving you away. Did he ever try to drive you away from your business?
No. He doesn't drive me away. He's just very like hands off. He's kind of a shy, more like antisocial kind of person, more introverted. So it's just better if he just stays in the background. Like he encourages me at home, and he encourages me like to do better and to grow. But
are you an introvert? Or
no,
an extrovert? I'm an
extroverted person.
You're introvert. You're extroverted.
I'm very extroverted.
Okay. Do you think that helped in your business?
Yes.
Do you think somebody that is an introvert can have that kind of success in that amount of time being an introvert?
Yes.
You do.
I think they could be successful.
What do you think the sacrifices they have to make for?
I think if they're going to be a very introverted person and they are going to have a business, it probably shouldn't be very customer based. Maybe do more online, do stuff that you can, be kind of more sheltered to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can have customers and be introverted. My mom's pretty introverted for the most part, but she comes out of her shell, and customers have a way of bringing you out of your shell.
Oh yeah, for sure. I tell people this, like I've rotated through my life. I've been introverted, I've been extroverted, and I've learned how to modify what I need to do, like how to present myself for different situations. And I think that's an important skill that some people need to learn,
right?
Especially when going into small businesses and stuff. There's numerous success stories, of people having small businesses. Did you have any inspiration that got you wanting to be an entrepreneur, own your own business?
It's gonna sound cheesy, but Shark Tank.
Shark Tank.
Yeah.
I love that show.
I love Shark Tank.
I love that show.
Yeah.
I learned so much on that show. When did you start watching that?
Like, I've watched it probably as long as it's been out.
And that's what got you going on
Yeah.
that. Did you see anybody on that show that was like, I can do this and I can do it better?
Yeah, a lot of the clothing people, I seen that. A lot of them. I think Squatty Potty was a big impactful one because it was just a dumb product that like people buy.
It's very successful.
It's very successful. It's a $1 billion company, multi-billion-dollar company.
Wow. I didn't know that big, but that's insane.
Yeah.
Huh. So Squatty Potty, that was
one. I mean, it's just some of the stuff that people come up with.
Mm-hmm. That's Shark Tank is a great show. If you never watched Shark Tank, it can teach you a lot about investing and how companies go about putting money in, because they talk about that. It's not just a reality show where they sit, present products and whatnot. There's actually a lot of learning that goes on behind it, and you can learn a lot. And that's actually great you brought that up, because it's some people want to know how they can do research on, and Shark Tank is actually fantastic. You can do research and watch and see what other products are doing, how they're presenting it, and how much money they're putting in, and kind of go from there. So Shark Tank, just Squatty Potty? That was really
no, not just Squatty Potty. That's just the one that like I know of the most,
right.
And I know of that was like one of their biggest success stories. Actually, it was Grace and Lace. I don't know if you saw that one.
Grace and Lace. What is that one?
It's basically this lady that made these little leg warmer socks, and she was like super big on Pinterest. Like people were like pinning her legs of these. I don't know. They were like, you put them inside boots and they're supposed to look like tall, cute socks. And she went in there and she already had a very successful like start before she went on Shark Tank, and she walked out of there I think she made a deal with Barbara, and it was either Barbara or Lori, I don't remember which one. And she's now like a multimillionaire just selling basically like these leg warmer sock things.
Wow. No, those are like the fluffy socks, the big.
Yeah, they're just like a warm sock with like lace on the top, and you put them inside boots, and they're not even a sock, they're just a leg warmer, and you put them inside boots and they're supposed to be cute. Yeah, Grace and Lace was the one that was like encouraging.
It honestly blows my mind. Like if you watch that show, they present some products where like they're gonna turn this down, they're not gonna want this, and then they go all for it, and they're like trying to make these deals. I'm like, I can do something better than that. Did you have a breakthrough moment like that?
Kind of. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't really like. don't invent anything. I don't make anything. I just resell stuff that I buy
and try to make it, with your own flair to it. Like that's a
cool
I make like these. A scream with.
Yeah, I make the tumblers. I lied. I do make those.
Do you do the design work too for it then?
No, so I buy a lot of my stuff from independent artists on Etsy.
Oh, okay. So you outsource your design work.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you about that, about how you did design.
Yeah, I buy files on Etsy for a couple dollars, and I download them, and then I just resize them and press them.
Now, wouldn't you think it'd be cheaper to buy a graphic designer and to have hired a graphic designer for that kind of work?
Probably.
What stopped you from not doing that?
It's just so fast, so easy. I could just get on Etsy and be like, I need ghost face images, and then there's 10,000 of them for me to choose from, and I just click and buy and print and download.
Do you ever face any copyright issues?
Yeah, we have. We don't do a lot of copyright stuff anymore, and I follow up on like the copyright laws and what's legal and not legal. Like we won't do Disney.
Yeah, I was gonna say
no Disney, no Nickelodeon, no Yellowstone. That's a big one. Anything that's owned by Netflix is generally off limits. No Stranger Things, no Yellowstone.
Another one is Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo's another one. Any of them.
After you.
Yeah, no. So we basically like Ghostface is not copyrighted. His copyright has been released, so he's good. But there's a couple of the other like horror stuff that I can't do because they are all over that.
Michael Myers, probably.
I actually haven't gotten in. I haven't heard anything about him. Or Jason Voorhees. It's the one from Texas Chainsaw Massacre I keep getting pinged for, so I had to take him down.
Why that one?
I don't know.
That's such a weird one.
I don't know.
So horror, your horror is your thing?
Yep, that one's my thing. I do a lot of horror. So I actually have a side business that just focuses mainly on that, and then yeah, but we make tumblers with everything. I put my kids' pictures on them. I put names on them. I almost made you one, but I ran out of time yesterday.
Awesome.
I was going to make you a One Warrior one, and I ran out of time yesterday.
Fantastic.
But yeah, I can put pretty much like I can just take a business card and upload it and put it on there. I've done that.
And just do them quick then.
Takes me the whole process from start to finish probably takes me from the time it prints to the time I press takes me probably about 10 minutes.
And who's your supplier for the actual cup?
It depends. I buy them all over. I buy them whenever they're cheap, wherever they're the cheapest.
That's okay. So again, you don't have an actual supplier.
We have a couple we use. Okay. We have a couple people that we use generally, but sometimes we'll price them out. But we've gotten them from AliExpress before. We've gotten them. There's a local person that sells them to us now. There's just a bunch of websites that sell them that we buy them from.
What's stopping you from taking advantage of getting things made overseas and making a lot of money and having them shipped here, because it's a lot cheaper to do that?
Yeah, probably just the upfront cost.
You're just not ready for that
yet.
I mean, I think you're ready.
Yeah, probably.
And I think that'd take you to the next level too. It would eliminate a lot of the small time stuff. And I mean, that is a big thing when you make that transfer from overseas OEM production.
It did put us into a little bit of a bind this year, because I did get on eBay, I had I think it was 100 tumblers that I did for somebody's birthday, their son's 16th birthday. They went to California and I almost ran out of tumblers. And then right after I got that done, I got hit. I think it was like 150 for Amazon. I sold 100 of them to somebody on Amazon. So
wow.
Yeah, it was like they wiped me out pretty fast.
They probably bought it for a store themselves, or
I don't. The one on Amazon, I don't know what he was buying them for. It's a mental breakdown tumbler. It's like my best seller. I've sold thousands of those, and he bought 100 of them. I don't know if he was reselling them. I don't know if they were gifts. I don't know if they were, because he bought them during mental health month. So I don't know if it was for his employees.
I was going to say it might have been for that, or even a fair. You said 100.
Yeah, those also went to California, so I don't know.
Wow. Okay. Well,
most of my business comes from California. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Like, that's your main state then.
California and New York. Probably because we're cheaper than what California is.
Right. What about Texas?
I do a lot of Texas.
Okay, I was going to say, that's another big one.
Yep. Texas, California, New York, Louisiana for some reason. I sell quite a bit to Louisiana too.
Right. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the identification of a business. How do you talk about explaining the process of identifying a viable business idea. How do you know? Let's say you have an idea, you don't know if it's going to go about it, or be successful. In other words, how do you even know to even take that risk?
I mean, honestly, I would tell anybody to just take the risk, whether it's going to work out or not, because you don't know. I mean, I know I have friends that have crazy businesses that I would never think. I'm like, that's dumb. But
what are some of those? I want to hear some.
I have people there's people that do primarily just like my honey guy for whatever. Like, it's not dumb, but I was like, I didn't expect him to be so successful selling so much honey. And then there's people that I follow on, like my eBay friends and stuff, that do exclusively eBay, but they sell just like off the wall stuff. Like, I don't even know. I've been around so many businesses that I'm like, I don't even think anything's weird anymore, honestly.
It's funny you mentioned the honey, because I used to do graphic design work when I was in high school as a side business for it was an apple country farm. They did all kinds of stuff, and honey was their biggest seller. They sold, I mean, the amount of honey they put out there. So people love honey.
They do.
That's a big one for marketing.
I mean, I don't know. I have lots of friends that do lots of things. Like, I have a really good friend of mine that lives in California, and he just sells enamel pins, like those little, just those like cult classic pins that you put on your thing. He sells those. He wholesales those. That's all he does. Those and
Just
plushes.
buys and resells?
Yep, he buys them from overseas and then he sells them to like me and other vendors and stuff and himself. But yeah, he basically just does enamel pins and plushes.
And one of the most biggest success stories I've heard is there's a person that just buys light bulbs overseas, cheap, and resells them. And has created a monstrous business out of just that.
I mean, I've bought light bulbs and sold them on Amazon, so...
So you know the trick on
I bought all the clearance ones at Lowe's one time.
Flashlights are another thing like that. I mean, there's a lot of small things like that you can really make big on. What made you not want to go just that route, the easier route?
So... I am in more control with my money doing it on my own. It's like if you sell on Amazon and stuff, you give them almost 45% of your profit.
I know. On my book, I sell my book on Amazon, and yeah, it's
like,
bad.
It's like 45%. But I do Amazon Handmade, which is a little bit different. So I only pay them like $3.75 per tumbler. So it's like my fee is flat. It's like I put it on there for $25. I make $21.75 every tumbler. Minus shipping.
That's really good. It's good profit there.
Really good profit margin. I don't have to deal with like the FBA or the fulfilled by Amazon like percentages and hikes and all the crazy fees that they take for storage.
That's smart. And so you do an e-commerce store on the side then too. And I didn't have a chance to look at that. What do you go through for that e-commerce site?
I use Shopify.
I figured you probably did. That's the most popular one.
I did GoDaddy and I hated it.
You did try GoDaddy?
I hated GoDaddy.
I've heard terrible stories from GoDaddy.
Their shipping is like you can't do like flex shipping, like where it's like actual shipping costs. It's like one set shipping price for everything. It's either free or whatever you put in, and it's annoying.
Wow.
I don't like it's just not user friendly.
That's pretty bad. Yeah.
I need like Shopify is like step by step by step, like do this, click this, do this, do that. And I'm like, that's what I need.
It's improved a lot too. And when did you, because I know some people see the price for Shopify every month and see when do you think it's the best time to, in your business, invest in having a Shopify? Because it's expensive to own a Shopify.
Right.
Manage that.
$35 a month, but your first 3 months are $1. So it's $3 for your first 3 months. But I think, honestly, like if you're going to do that, you can always start on the online platforms like Amazon, Etsy, eBay, and see if you have a market. And then once you like are comfortable and people are buying your stuff, then to switch to online stores.
How do you switch that though? Like how people are so used to buying from Amazon. Like when I buy stuff from Amazon, I have certain things I buy every month even. I would never know if they had a Shopify because I don't even do that research. How do you present that out to people? Like, oh, we're going more Shopify now. Come over and buy things from this area.
Have you ever gotten like an Amazon package and it has those little like cards in them? Like, leave me a review and go here. Yeah, I put business cards in all my products. I'm not like Amazon. I'm not overbearing about it because it's Amazon. And like, I'm not going to step on their toes and like make them mad because it's a great platform to sell on. But I think it's just trying to convert them, putting business cards over, putting the little advertisings in there. It's probably more beneficial that if you do go on Amazon to just build an Amazon store.
You think it's better just to do that? Yeah. And so did you have a lot of failures at first trying to go to Shopify? Like people weren't buying from there and you were paying for Shopify and nothing was coming from there? And
so this is my first official month actually paying the $35 for Shopify. I've been doing the last 3 months as the $1. We were doing GoDaddy. I just started converting our GoDaddy store into a Shopify store.
5 years later after you started this business.
I just started a GoDaddy maybe a year or two ago. We weren't even approaching online. Like we were just doing brick and mortar and then like the online platforms. Like so for me to have my own like website, this is new for me.
So let me make sure I'm getting this right. You started on Amazon. That was where you first started back in 2017. Then you went to brick and mortar. And then you did you keep the Amazon going? Okay, so you kept the Amazon going and you didn't decide to open up an actual Shopify till 2020.
2023.
2023.
Yeah, I just did Shopify like in the last couple of months.
That's a really weird order to do things.
Yeah, it is.
A very odd order.
I've learned a lot doing this too. I've made a lot of mistakes. We went a lot of things backwards. And
what were some of the biggest mistakes you made? This is going to be good.
Not doing a Shopify right away was one. I mean, I've made a lot of mistakes. Just not doing advertising, I think, as early as we should have.
You mean paid advertising?
Yes.
Okay.
we've carried some products that just didn't sell. There's just like, for whatever reason, my mom and I cannot sell shoes. Like, I don't know what it is about us. Like, we cannot sell shoes.
Really?
I can't sell them on Poshmark. I can't sell them in store. People just don't want to buy shoes from me, and I don't know why.
Do you think that's maybe just because people might think, oh, they might be used? I don't want to wear somebody's used shoes where their feet were.
No, there's people that just have their things. Like, I can sell, like, any pair of jeans you give me, I can sell them. But I have a friend that can't sell jeans at all. Like, she sends them all to me because she's like, I just don't want to waste my time with this. Like, I can't get them to sell. It's just really weird. There's just like certain things that people can sell better than others. And I'm just not passionate about shoes. So I just think that that's part of it too. Is like, I'm just not passionate about shoes. I don't like shoes.
You can't stick with it.
Yeah, I just don't like them. People won't buy them from me, so I don't do it. So that wall space has been changed into something that does sell.
I see.
So it's a lot of adapting. And like, that's a lot of things. It's like, I don't want people to get discouraged if they have a product and people don't buy it. Like, pivot, adapt, and try again, because not everybody can sell everything. Like, I can't be out here selling no protein because I don't know anything about it, but I'm sure you could sell it, but I couldn't.
Not a huge fan of protein powder, actually. I'm the old-fashioned guy that likes steak, and I do things old-fashioned way.
Well, like exercise equipment, there's no way you're going to catch me selling a treadmill.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if I could sell a treadmill. I don't do any cardio. Buy this treadmill. I never do cardio myself, but...
Right. But then, like, I don't feel like people are going to come into a women's clothing store and buy dresses from you either, though. So
yeah, I mean, you probably don't have much male customers, do you?
We do, but not really. So I mean, we do, but we don't.
This is good because 1WARRIOR, our population is a lot of males. We have about 30% female in our demographic. Mm-hmm. This will be good. This will hopefully pull more females and more males, maybe to you, maybe for their wives or whatever. You know, I don't know, but it possibly could be a switch over there.
And it's not something that like I don't want to do. Like, I want to sell men's clothing. There's just not any good like wholesalers for it. Like, we cannot find good quality men's clothing. Is so hard to find.
Next Level. Have you ever looked into Next Level?
Mm-hmm.
Next Level is where I buy all my shirts from. I love wearing just blanks. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big guy of wearing brands and stuff. I'm a guy where I don't like decisions. I wake up, I put on a blank shirt. I know I can just think better. And Next Level is a great brand. I highly recommend checking them out. You can buy them wholesale. You can go to online clothing and buy them there for really good prices. Mm-hmm. And they fit fantastic. I know a lot of people that love Next Level. You could look into that.
I'll look into that. Yeah.
You brought up shoes real quick. When I looked up your company, I was thinking you'd do really good probably selling like customized Converse.
Yeah.
When I saw this, I was thinking I could picture like a Converse shoe, like because you can do that probably, right?
Probably if I had the equipment.
Okay.
We're looking into expanding into more of that stuff. I would like to get a screen printer, and I would like to get a garment. That's a garment printer. I would love to get one of those. They're so expensive. They're really expensive.
I know a guy in Bryan that I'm friends with actually that did a lot of my early printing when I first started a business back in 2016 with t-shirts, but that failed. But the price that he paid for that printer though was just astronomical. Yes. They're crazy expensive. But like I said, I mean, you could probably, your gross is up there. You could buy it.
Probably, yeah.
And what's stopping you from going that route? Just
I don't know. We just haven't thought enough about it yet. We've got enough on our plate that we're doing right now.
You got to hire more employees.
Yeah, that way we got to hire more employees for sure.
I think that's one of the benefits of reaching that point. You hire more employees. That way you can think about the business more and put then more actual new things into the business. Mm-hmm. Because when you're just trying to work on a business yourself, you only have a certain amount of time in the day to get your stuff done. And you don't even have time to be a creative thinker, you know, on that, at that point. Do you have the same thoughts on that? And I mean, I think you should hire out.
Yeah, well, we're going to. We've had people approach us about working for us, and it's about time. And plus, we have a loan through the city for our building that requires us to have to hire an employee.
Dude, I bet with that square feet, I'm sure you do.
Yeah, we have it's a small business loan. They helped us with our down payment on our building, and one of the contingencies is that we have to bring jobs into the area.
Okay.
So we're required to hire.
Let's talk about business plan now. Did you have a business plan when you started?
So I did a little bit, yes. I met with there's a really great resource in Defiance. It's a small business association. It's over by the Mercy Hospital. And basically they have like coaches, and they help you figure out if you need an S Corp or an LLC, or If you're going to be a DBA, which is doing business as, they help you set up like all of that. They help you do the paperwork with the Secretary of State. They help you file your business name and show you how to find a business name, how to buy your business name, buy all of your all your stuff that you need for it, and then they help you build a business plan. And then we just recently met with her again. Earlier this year, we met with her again and we went over our business plan again. Because we won a grant, a hometown grant, and part of the grant was that we had to meet with the job coach again, or the business coach, and just make sure everything was going well. And then she taught us about some new like platforms and some new stuff that I didn't even know what was going on. And
wow.
She was telling us about like what kind of insurance, like they help you figure out like what kind of insurance you need to carry, like if you have employees, like all the stuff that you have to cover legally to have employees.
Do you have an LLC?
I do have an LLC, yes. And I also own my name, my business name. So I trademarked my name too.
I was going to ask if you did that.
Yes.
That's a good idea to do that when you're doing a lot of things like that. Huh. Okay.
We have an LLC. I honestly should probably switch it to an S Corp at this point.
Well, I mean, I think you're fine.
For tax purposes, they said it's easier to have an S Corp because then when I pay myself, it's a little bit different for an S Corp than an LLC.
I see. Do you have like a holding company that pays you?
Right.
All your money goes to a holding company. So maybe yeah, you're right.
And
S Corp would be
has better protection for
a
businesses.
lot. Yep. So that would be a good idea than if you do have a holding. All right. So we like to do something right about now on this podcast, something that's unconventional, but are you smarter than a fifth grader? Do you think you're smarter than a fifth grader?
Maybe.
We're going to see. And you'd be surprised at some of these questions. I've asked some of my guests these, and a lot of them have failed. What is the largest ocean on the Earth?
The Pacific.
Yes. Who is credited with writing the U.S. Declaration of Independence?
Thomas Jefferson? No.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. He's the one that signs really big.
Okay, yeah, that's what it was.
That's funny you knew that because a lot of people don't remember that reference. How he signed really, his signature always big. How many bones are there in the adult human body?
236.
You got the 6 right, and you got the 200 right. 206.
206.
Which planet is closest to the sun?
Venus?
Mercury.
Mercury, yeah.
I actually got that one wrong when I wrote this. I said Venus as well on that one. What is the chemical symbol for gold?
AU.
Yeah. Nice. How do you know that so quick? I had to think about that one. I got it right too, but I had to think.
So there's a movie that they something I think it's they want to kill John Tucker, and there's a joke in there that she makes where she's like talking to his brother and she goes, so Gold walks into a bar and goes, "Hey, you!" And I've always remembered that. Just
I've never seen that movie actually.
Or John Tucker Must Die. Yeah, that's
John
the movie.
Tucker
But
Must
it's
Die.
that. Yeah,
Okay.
she goes in there and she's just like says something about Gold walking into a bar, and she goes, "Hey, you!"
Hey, you. That's a good way to remember that one actually, though. How many continents have land borders with each other? This one's a hard one.
How many continents?
Yeah, I got this one wrong.
I believe it's 4.
You got it right.
Because it's Asia and Europe, and then North and South America.
Africa and North America.
Africa and North America.
Yep. Yeah, that was right. I got that one wrong. Who is the author of the Harry Potter book series?
J.K. Rowling.
I knew you'd get that. When I wrote that, I was like, she'll know this one, I'm sure. What is the capital city of Canada?
That is it Quebec? No. Toronto?
No.
Ontario?
No.
I don't know.
Ottawa. Every guest I've asked that one has got that one wrong. That one's come up on a few of them.
Don't know anything about our northern neighbors, sorry.
Yeah, it's especially when they're trying to burn down us all.
Beautiful country, been there twice, don't know anything about it.
I went to Niagara Falls. It was beautiful.
Been to Niagara Falls, and then I've been to like inland Canada.
Did you go inside Niagara Falls too? Like in the caverns? Like that's where we went. It was crazy in there.
Yeah.
It's really creepy actually. Really neat place though. How many sides does an octagon have?
8.
Yes. Good. And last one, what type of gas do plants absorb from the atmosphere during photosynthesis?
Carbon dioxide.
Yes. Okay, let's see here. You missed You missed the bones. You missed the planet one. And then the Canada one. Yep. So you got a 70%.
Okay.
That's passing.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I mean, that's pretty good.
These get degrees.
Exactly. That's perfect.
Which is funny because I have no formal business training at all. I did not go to college for business.
I was going to ask you about that. If you have any business, like if a lot of people at least go like to a trade school or maybe even a community college like Fort County just to get or not Fort County, but I live right by it. The college right down the road.
Northwest State?
Northwest State.
Yeah,
Some people go to that kind of school even just to get something to help.
I've been thinking about going back and taking their entrepreneurship program. They have a certificate for it, and they also have a marketing one. I've thought about going back and doing that, but no, I have no formal business training at all.
So what made you not want to go to college?
I did go to college. I have an engineering degree. I just don't have any formal business training.
Oh, so that was the degree you used probably for your last job, the Johns Manville.
Well, kind of, yeah. I was just a factory worker there, but yeah, I have an engineering degree from Northwest State.
Going to, I mean, you probably have, they probably taught you some business in that degree, or was it just a trade type of school type of degree?
Yeah, it's just community college, so it's just like 60% based on your degree and then 40% electives. So like I had to take speech and statistics and
I see
all that kind of stuff. So
do you think that it's going to be worth it? I mean, your gross was $225,000 last year. Do you think it's worth it even to bring college into the play anymore?
Yes and no. I feel like if I did like a marketing thing, yes, because that's like an area that I struggle in.
That's what I went to school for. Yeah. It was graphic design and marketing and digital advertising.
Yeah, that's like, I don't know much about that.
And I barely use any of that.
Yeah.
Like I honestly, I mean, some people say I got my first job right out of college because of that. What I went to school for was graphic design. But the fact is, I knew more from actually just graduating high school, because that was my passion back then, was graphic design. No longer is, but it was at the time, and I dumped all my free time into that, and I knew more probably at college than I actually learned. I feel like I wasted about $45,000, and I paid it off now, but I feel like that was basically a waste of money when it comes to the actual learning about what could help me business wise. Do you have that? Are you kind of afraid that you might be wasting money to do that?
I think about that too. And then I think we're also in like an era where I could just get on YouTube and somebody can teach me how to graphic design in 20 minutes.
And not just that, but AI too.
Yeah.
I'm actually meeting with somebody today to talk about AI for another podcast today, but a little bit of AI. Do you use AI for your business?
No, but Shopify does have like a listing generator that I put in a bunch of keywords, and the AI does build my descriptions for me, and it's way nicer than anything I could come up with.
It's crazy. I use AI for my business all the time. I literally help to write scripts for my podcast. I literally use it for everything. It's crazy.
If I make a listing, it'll be like, oh, it's handmade, it's 20 fluid ounces, it's insulated, it's blah, blah, blah. And then like the Spotify or Shopify is like, come check out the double wall insulated tumbler with your favorite horror character on it. Like, it just makes these immaculate descriptions, and it's just like, I feel like a robot. I know. I use it for captions for my YouTube videos and shorts and everything. It's amazing what it comes up with. I mean, it looks fantastic. I'm like, I could have never created this. Or it would have taken me 2 hours to create this. Do you have a logo for your company? I do.
What's your logo? Do you have
my business cards are in the car. Okay. It's just a white background with a purple flower, and it has our name on it.
Did you design it yourself? So you designed it yourself. Why not pay a graphic designer?
I honestly made it back in like 2019, and it's been so simple, and so everybody recognizes it now that I haven't even changed it. I think I made it on Canva, honestly, probably.
Oh, really?
Probably Canva.
Yeah, Canva's fantastic. I use that a lot for a lot of things.
It's just a simple purple wallflower with a white background and our name on it.
Are you ever going to redesign it?
Probably not in the future.
Really? Yeah. Sometimes redoing a logo can bring in new traffic.
So we got our new sign. We got a new sign above our building, and I had a graphic designer, he did that for us. So that's a little bit different compared to what we had before.
Do you think that kind of thing is important for a business? I feel like a lot of people, when they first start off, feel like everything has to be perfect. They have to have the perfect logo. They have to have the perfect slogan. They have, feel perfect going into it. Did you have that mindset too, where everything had to just be perfect, or were you just like, let's try this. What works?
I'm not I strive for perfection, but I know never everything's going to be perfect. So I basically am just get it done, get it out there. We can modify it later.
All right. So one of the last things I want to cover here is you being a woman and going into business, being an entrepreneur. I know there are some struggles with that because, it typically men, are owners of businesses and own stuff and can make stuff roll. Explain your experience, just being a woman and starting a woman's business and your perspective on that.
So yeah, it's interesting because I go to a lot of these meetings. Like I'm a member of the chamber and I go to all these meetings where like I meet with other business people and it's like 60% men and it's intimidating. And it's also that is like, I'm also just turning 30 this year. So I'm young and I'm a woman, and then I'm not a stereotypical businesswoman because I have piercings and tattoos and blue hair. And so like, I'm not a normal, like what you're going to walk into a bank and see kind of business person. So I can kind of intimidate people too, but it's different. It's like, I don't always felt like in the beginning that I was taken seriously. It's like, I think people kind of brushed me off. They're like, oh, what is this kid doing here? Like, what is that? And then when we bought our building, it was like, oh, I think she is kind of serious now because like I'm one of the younger people in town that actually owns commercial property in Defiance. Like there's a couple people close to my age that have buildings, but not very many people under the age of 40 own commercial properties.
Right. Yeah, I'm 1 year older than you. I'm 31. I thought you were actually 2 years younger than me. So, no. Okay.
But yeah, so in the US alone, 42% of businesses are owned by women. Women are 3% more likely or 3 times more likely to start a business over a man at this point in time because it gives them more flexibility with their household duties, their children.
I could see that. That makes sense.
And then 44% of women-owned businesses are in low-growth industries. So beauty salons, home health care, childcare, daycare centers. So that's where you're typically going to see a lot of women entrepreneurs, which obviously hairdressers, right. Childcare tends to fall into women's stuff anyways. And then clothing stores is another one.
I see.
It's changing quite a bit. It's becoming more women based now. I think a lot more women are getting into business, but
it's probably the reason why is probably for freedom. I think
it's a lot of freedom.
It's probably the main thing is freedom. I mean, it's because they want to be home with their kids. They want to be the homemaker, and they want to have that flexibility.
I also feel like women as salespeople aren't typically as aggressive as men. So a lot of people would rather have a female salesperson over men because men are a lot like used car salesmen. They're like, get in here, buy this.
You gotta buy this. No, don't walk out that door.
They're like, and then a woman's just like, you don't want to buy it? Whatever, leave. I don't care.
I worked for a window company and all the salespeople, well, no, wait. There were two salespeople out of that company were women. And everybody else was men, and it kind of interesting because that's literally your statistics right there. And it's why I think men are more intimidating when it comes to sales. But I also feel like men can sell stuff pretty damn good because of our intimidation.
Right. I don't know. If I walked into a store and I saw like a furniture store and I saw a male sales rep and a female sales rep, I'm going to the woman sales rep every time. But that's just because I'm a woman and she can relate to me and
right.
They're not as pushy.
It's powerful too. I think it depends too on this whole situation. Like, I think we're in an age too where sex sells. It really does. I mean, if you're attractive female, if I go to a car shop, me being a single 31-year-old man, if I see an attractive girl selling a car, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna have her sell me that car. Chances are I'm gonna buy that car too, just because sex sells.
She's selling it to you. Yep.
It's a scary time to be alive sometimes.
Right. But that's another stigma a lot of women business owners have is you're a female and you're hot and whatever, and it's the people don't take you seriously.
Let's talk about you ever hear OnlyFans?
Yep.
Just wondering, why did you not ever try to go OnlyFans? Because I know a ton of women that just decided to just go OnlyFans because most of the women on there are making $50,000 to $100,000 a year, right? Starting off. It's insane. It's absolutely mind-boggling.
So there's actually there's a finance guy that I follow. His name's Grant Stevens. I don't know if you know anything about Graham Stevens.
Yeah.
He did a project where he started his own OnlyFans and he was selling like I think feet pictures and he just wanted to see how it worked and he actually did relatively okay from what I saw on his YouTube stuff. I don't know. I'm just not interested in that. Like I don't have any problems with sex workers. I don't have any problems with how you make your money. It's just not for me.
Yep. It's an integrity thing, you know?
Yeah, it's just not for me.
Yep. That's good. That's good. I mean, it just depends on the person, but that's interesting though, because I mean, you're an attractive female. It's like, why did you not go that route?
Right. No, it's just not for me. Yeah, but more power to the people who do it. And like other people don't realize that that's like a business too. Like those girls are on there hustling. They're putting their stuff on Reddit. They're on Twitter. They're on Instagram, just plugging their little handles everywhere they can put it.
Yeah, it'd be crazy. I mean, they probably constantly working, you know, at that point too. I mean, bring in that kind of money too. And the last thing I want to talk about is just sharing some tips. I feel a lot of people go through failure and don't know how to get up from failure. My brand is built around failing and getting back up. It's the last words of my book. If you fail, as long as you stand back up, you'll never fail. You know, what is something that I'm sure you've run into tons of failures. We've already talked about some of that. But what is a mindset that you use or tricks that you use to keep yourself on a path to succeed when you don't even know if it's going to work, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling depressed? I know depression runs wild with entrepreneurs. It has for me in the past. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, I mean, failure sucks. It's hard. But yeah, like you said, you have to get back up and bounce back. One of my philosophies that I follow quite a bit is I like to surround myself with people that are smarter than me. Because I don't know everything and I'm never going to know everything. So I try to keep like a good group of people that are encouraging for one, and then two, smarter than me, because just sitting in a room with them, listening to them talk about investments or this and that, like you pick up so much knowledge that you don't even realize like that you retained, because you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I've heard of this stock, or I've heard of this crypto, or I've heard of this business term. And so, yeah, I try to surround myself with people that are smarter than me. And then I try to keep people that are encouraging, but you also have to just decompress. Like you have to just shut your phone off 24 hours and just disappear.
Hard to do.
It is very hard to do, but self-care is so important. Like taking those mental health days, even as an entrepreneur, like it sucks, but sometimes you just have to, even if it's just 2 hours, just go for a drive and shut your phone off. And
how often do you do that for yourself?
Probably weekly.
Just one time weekly?
Yeah, probably weekly. Trying to get the baby to sleep usually.
That's your peaceful time.
Yeah. Go to sleep. Kids, go to sleep. Like, we're going to drive around till you guys go to sleep. No. Yeah, no, I probably go, like, try to decompress like that once a week. But I try to take time for myself, too. But it's just hard with a newborn and a preschooler and a business.
Yeah. I liked how you brought up, too, about surrounding yourself around people smarter than you. That is so important. To grow, to be put out of your comfort zone, to want to improve. So many people are stuck in their own little zones, and they don't leave those zones. And one thing I love about doing this podcast, I get to talk about it. I'll talk to all kinds of people. Like I'm talking to somebody about AI later today. I know nothing about AI. That's one of the reasons I'm having him on.
Me neither.
And the fact is, like, getting outside of your comfort zone. Like fitness is my square. It's my comfort zone. I know a shit ton about it. I've done this stuff for 18 years. And then getting outside and now today exploring business. It's such a powerful thing to never know it all, to realize you never know it all, and to continue to want to improve too. It's a big thing to be able to improve yourself. How much time do you spend on self-improvement?
I mean, I try. It's something I'm adding more into my routine now. Like I've never been like a self-help book kind of person, but now I've read 5 like self-help books in the last year. Not really self-help books, but just like skill building books, like The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And
yep, I've read that one.
There's one that I like, and then there's one I read yearly called Girl Boss. It's the owner of, or the founder of Nasty Gal Vintage Clothing. There's a Netflix series on it.
Okay.
And she's very encouraging because she basically came from like nowhere. She was broke, like had no money. She bought vintage stuff and she sold on eBay, and then she got kicked off of eBay and started her own website. Now she has a multi-billion-dollar corporation that she just sold. So I try to like read Girl Boss every year. But then I try to read a lot of like growing books too. I listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot of encouraging podcasts and building podcasts. But I've been spending a lot more time on it now, but I think it's also just my age, like going into my 30s. It's more of like I'm set in my ways. Like I know what I want, but now I want to improve on what I want. Right,
exactly. And when you were first starting out, did you go, I'm sure you failed like tons starting out in your early years. What made you not just want to quit?
I did want to quit all the time. It was just, I was like, I don't know. I just didn't want to give up. I was like, this is a great thing for my family if I can get it to work. And then like I had my mom there to help me. Like she's my business partner. She's my 50% partner. So she was always very encouraging. So she took a lot of it with stride too when I was doing like the kid thing and the working thing. Like she took over a lot of the responsibilities. And now as she's getting older, I would like to retire her soon and take it over. So
Good.
now we're swapping and I'm taking over a lot of the stuff.
Very nice. Very nice.
But yeah, no, so you just have to have people that encourage you, I guess.
So how old is you have a daughter?
Oh, yep. Will be 6 weeks on Saturday. And then I have a 4-year-old son.
Young.
And then I have a 4-year-old son.
Is your son like? I'm sure your son's seeing you being an entrepreneur. Do you think it's inspiring him to want to bring up that creativity, to want to be an entrepreneur someday?
I hope so. Yeah, I think so. He's at the shop with me every Friday for an hour or two, and then Isadora's with me pretty much every day that I work. She goes down there with me. I just take her with me. Just like, well, I can't leave her at home or anything. And she's not old enough for daycare. So she goes with me every day. But yeah, he comes down and he helps. Like he helps clean and he helps put stuff away. And then he steals all my inventory because he's like, I want this. I want that. So yeah, he's good though. I'm hoping that it gives him more of an idea of what he wants to do with his life, because like I'm not going to push my kids to go to college. Mm-hmm. So they have a future fund. So whatever they want to do within reason when they're adults, so like that's up to them. But I'm never going to push my kids to go to college, because I realistically probably shouldn't have gone to college either.
I love that you said that, because I'm the same way. If I ever do have kids, I will never push them to go to college. I was pushed to go to college, you know, and if I would have taken that $45,000 that we had saved up for college, I could have used that in my businesses and I could have made something out of myself, because it is really a personality thing. If you don't need college nowadays,
nope.
You really don't. And it's so different, because when we were growing up at high school, our teachers even told us, you're going to need this to get to college. Everything was about getting into college. Mm-hmm. And it's totally a different world now. You don't need college. You just don't. Nope. You can be completely successful without it. You just have to know how to work.
Yep. You got to just build those skills and find what you're good at.
Yep. All right. Well, leave us with one tip that the listeners can use to further their business.
Oh, I did that earlier. Just don't stop trying. There are no crazy ideas. So like if you have an idea, try it, because you never know. I mean, there's people that are professional clowns in this world and balloon artists and I mean, face painters, you just try it. You never know what crazy thing is going to make you money. And it's all about whatever makes you happy. I think if you can find what makes you happy, then you never actually work a day in your life.
I live by those same rules as well. It's how you should live. You should feel passion for what you're working on. Well, her links are going to be down below, or her business page, her social media pages and all that. And mine are always down there as well. Thanks for coming out, guys. I hope you guys got something out of this and can take away and can grow your further businesses or start something out even. Hopefully this inspired you to. And we'll see you guys next time. Stay strong. And as always, God bless.
Bye. I'll pet your dog now.
Go pet my dog.